Count by strategies for multiplication. Your learning target today is I can use count by strategies to help me multiply. And you'll know you're successful when you can count by a chosen number and stop at the correct number to multiply. So with this counting by strategy, I have to ask myself when I see a problem, I'm going to look at the factors. In this case, we have a 7 and a 5. Am I more comfortable with counting by 7s or counting by 5s? And really that is up to you. It might be different for everybody. But personally, and this is how I'm going to show you today, for this one I'm going to count by 5s. Just because we learned how to count by 5s in kindergarten, and we have been counting by 5s for so long. And I think that's the one that makes more sense for me. But hey, if you are more comfortable with counting by 7s, you can absolutely do that. But let's do our counting by strategy. So I'm going to count by 5s, but I'm going to stop at the 7th number. This kind of reminds me of repeated addition, but instead of just adding each number, we're just going to skip count. So we're going to start at 5. And then what comes after that is 10, 15. So far, this is the first number that we counted. 10 is the second number. 15 is the third. So let's go to the fourth number. 5, 10, 15, 20. We know that we will have a fifth number. We're going to have a sixth number, and we're going to have a seventh number, right? Because 7 is where you need to stop. Okay, let's just keep counting. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Oh, and that's where I stop. So what's 7 times 5? 35. Nice and quick strategy. This is the next one we'll try. So again, ask yourself, do you want to count by 4s or do you want to count by 12s? It's really up to you and what you're more comfortable with. I am going to show it both ways this time because with 4s, we know that's kind of similar to counting by 2s, but it's doubled. And counting by 12s is a lot like counting by 10s, but adding 2 after the 10. So again, we'll do both. Let's count by 4s first. If I'm counting by 4s, that means I'm going to have 12 numbers that I have to find. And we'll stop at the 12th number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's where we will stop. Okay, so let's just label what number we're at. There we go. We'll start with counting by 4s. So when I count by 4s, I know I start at 4, and then we have 8, and then we have 12. I hope that when you are doing this skip counting strategy, that you're noticing something. Notice the second number is 8, right? 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. So see how that is kind of related? Notice the pattern. Okay, let's keep counting by 4s. 20. Oh, because we know 4 times 5 is 20. That makes sense. 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 48. Oop, that's where we stop. So what's 4 times 12? 48. Let's try that same problem though, but counting by 12s. So I'll write 4 times 12. We know we should get 48. But if I'm going to count by 12s, how many blanks am I going to have? I'm going to have 4 because this is the number that we need to stop at since I'm counting by 12s this time. So we're going to have 4 numbers. So we know we'll, of course, start with 12. But I told you, counting by 12s is a lot like counting by 10s. But instead of counting by 10, all right, So with this problem, 3 times 9, I'm going to ask myself, should I count by 3s? Should I count by 9s? What do you prefer? Just like with the last one, I'm going to show you both ways just so that you can see what would be easier for you. That way when we try the next problem on our own, you will decide to do one thing or the other. Or if you want to do both, hey, you can, because that's a good way to check your answer. But I will show us both ways. Let's start with counting by 3s first. So if I count by 3s, that means I stop at the 9th number. So I'm going to have 9 blanks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. That will be our first step. Stopping at the 9th number and counting by 3s. If I count by 3s, where do I start? 3. This is a lot like that counting by 3s game, if you remember back to when we did that. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Ooh, I forgot. Without using my fingers, what would come after 18? I don't want to use my fingers. Oh, I can think of 3 times 7. Oh, that's 21. Yeah, that makes sense. 18, and after that's 21. Yep, 24, and then 27. So I get 27. Let's count by 9s to just make sure we were right. So we get 3 times 9. I'm going to count by 9s this time, so I'm going to stop at the 3rd number. 1, 2, 3. We're going to have 3 blanks. That doesn't seem like as much work. Okay, we start at 9. I count by 9s. Well, again, I could count by 10s, but then subtract 1 because 9 is 1 less than 10. So 9 plus 10 is 19, but 19 minus 1 is 18. Oh, yep. 18 plus 10 is 28, minus 1 is 27. Look at that. Look how fast that was. So even though some of you might be more comfortable with counting by 3s, think about what it takes to count by 9s and maybe challenge yourself. It might just be easier for you. You never know. Okay, let's do our last problem, and this will be the problem that you will have to pause and try on your own. All right, this will be our last problem for today. So I want you to decide, what number do you want to count by? Do you want to count by 8s, or do you want to count by 6s? And I want you to solve this problem by skip counting. If you would like to do it both ways, like I have been doing for the last 2 examples, then you can do that. Do it both ways. Count by 8s the first time, and then count by 6s. Either way, I want you to try this at least one time and see if your answer matches mine with skip counting. Good luck. Pause the video. Okay, it is time to do our strategy. So for the first one, I'm just going to show you by counting by 6s, and I will stop at the 8th number, okay? So we have 8 blanks. And we will stop at that 8th number by counting by 6s. And by counting by 6s, if you counted by 6s, where did you start? Should have started with 6. And then after 6 we get 12. And after 6 we get 12, and then we get 18. And then we get, what would be that 4th one? Oh, that's the same as 6 times 4. Oh, I know, that's 24. There we go. And then we would get 30, 36. Ooh, what would come after 36, the 7th number? 6 times 7. Oh, is 42. That helps me if I'm stuck rather than using my fingers. And then we get 48. Oh, so I get 48. That would be if you counted by 6s. That's what your skip counting should look like. I'm going to show you now if you counted by eights or if you did it both ways, because then you did this and the other. Okay, 8 times 6. This time we're going to stop at the 6th number because we're counting by eights. So we have 6 blanks. And again, this is if you count by eights. And I have 6 spaces. Okay, what number did you start with if you counted by eights? 8, right? Of course. That's the easiest one. And then the second one would be 16. And then after 16, we would get 24. After 24, what do you get? Ooh, if I can't figure that out and I don't want to use my fingers, I could think of 8 times 4, because that's the 4th blank, right? Or, since 8 is still close to 10, I could do 24 plus 10, but minus 2. So 24 plus 10 is 34, minus 2 is 32. Okay, and after that we get 40, and then we get 48. So still we get 48. Does not matter what you count by, we still get the same product. It's just based on what are you more comfortable with, counting by 6s or counting by 8s, or both. Great job today. This is a wonderful strategy if you don't want to do repeated addition. This is very similar. Or if you don't want to do an array or equal groups or having a multiplication chart, this is an awesome way to figure out your multiplication facts if you are not fluent yet. So remember, your learning target today is I can use count by strategies to help me multiply, and you'll know you're successful when you can count by a chosen number and stop at the correct number to multiply.